Good evening. We welcome you here to the regular meeting of the West Valley City Council. We call our meeting to order. Note that all council members are present and in attendance. We also have Mr. Pyle, I believe, is joining us electronically, as well as members of the public and others. So with that, we'll begin as we traditionally do with a Inside the City video.
We're gonna take them here.
Thank you. Next, we have our minutes of our October 12th meeting. Someone would like to make a motion on the minutes.
I move to approve those minutes, Mayor.
Second. Properly before us, and hearing no further comments on them, then without objection, the minutes will be approved. And hearing no objection, I guess that's unanimous. Let's see, next we have on our agenda a presentation from the Utah Parks and Utah Recreation and Parks Association. And I believe Leanne Powell from that organization is here to make that presentation.
Here I am. I was hiding over in the corner. Mayor and council members, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I am Leanne Powell. I'm the executive director of the Utah Recreation and Parks Association. That's an organization of about 1,400 members that are parks recreation professionals throughout the state. Probably the highlight of my year is getting to come around to all of the different city councils, county councils, commissions, and present awards for the great work that's going on. I might add, that was one of the coolest things I've seen, that little video. Like, I get to make it to a lot of these city council meetings, and first time I've seen that, that was very cool. I like it. We, as an organization, each year before our conference, we take nominations for a number of different awards. We get our past presidents together that take a look at all of the different nominations and decide who's going to receive awards at our state conference. So we give out about 35 to 40 awards each year, and it culminates with the Outstanding Department of the Year. So it's my honor tonight to be able to chat a little bit about your outstanding Parks and Recreation Department and the great work that they're doing, and just kind of reinforce some of the great work that's happening out there. So West Valley City is receiving this outstanding department. And as our past presidents get together and talk about all of the great departments in the state, we have lots of departments that are doing great things. They get a little chance to kind of delve into, you know, what makes a department stand out to be recognized as the outstanding department. And the first thing in looking at West Valley's nomination, but also in knowing the impact that their professionals have, your professionals have statewide, is looking at your people. And you have just absolute rock star professionals. You know, anytime we're at a conference, your professionals are on our board of directors. Anytime there's conversations going on about hard things, you know, we talk about homelessness in the parks. It's West Valley City professionals that are in there talking about ways to solve things, diversity, equity, inclusion. They're the first ones to the table to say, hey, let's talk about these things, and how do we be better as a profession, and how can we make West Valley City better? So the first thing that our past presidents kind of looked at in looking at the different nominations was just the level of professionalism and dedication that your professionals have to the profession, as well as the dedication to your residents. And I think that was probably the thing that stood out, is just anything that these guys back here can do, and Nancy up there, anything they can do to help each and every resident in West Valley City have a great experience, they're all about that. You know, oftentimes with small communities, you see, you know, directors going out and trying to get grants. Sometimes with larger organizations, you don't see that. One of the things that stood out, we did a healthy play initiative with Great Western Recreation to try to get some inclusive playgrounds throughout the state. The very first person that made a phone call to say, hey, how do I get to be a part of this grant, and how do we do this, was Nancy. Very first phone call to say, hey, we want to be a part of this. How do we make it happen? And the end result was your Peachwood Park project. Grants nationally through NRPA to get other parks and recreation facilities. And I get a chance to work with each and every one of your professionals. And every time I get an interaction, it's just a great experience. We've just in the last year had 2 golf tournaments out at the Ridge Golf Course. And both times it was the easiest process to work with your golf pros, because they just bend over backwards to try to make everything go as smoothly as possible. And the interactions are great. You know, we have different things happening at conference, you know, facility management courses. And, you know, Jamie's the first one to get in there and really help our other facility managers throughout the state understand some of the issues that they're facing in West Valley City. And you know, same way with the parks, same way with across the board, your professionals and the great work that they're doing stand out statewide. And it's not just me, and it's not just the other members, it's past presidents, it's the leaders in our field that truly see the impact that your professionals are having for West Valley City. So the other thing I might point out is they can't do great work without support from administration and direction from you guys as a city council. And there's no doubt that you all are committed to parks, recreation, culture, heritage, making West Valley City be a more perfect community for all of your residents. So for all of those reasons, and because of your rockstar Parks and Recreation professionals, it's my honor to present West Valley City with the outstanding department, Parks and Recreation Department. Okay.
I think
This is like.
there, I'll move this a little.
Remember when?
That was quite a curve. Okay, ready? 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great recognition for a great department. It's what? Yeah, it's all there.
Get a picture in your.
The rest of the program is unrelated to them. Well, with that, our numbers are certainly fewer, but let's go on with our agenda. We have next our public comment period, and we have 3 people who have signed up. Just take them as the way they signed up. Mike Markham is the first one.
Okay, Mike Markham. I just want to thank everybody that had the time and made the time to show up at the Meet the Candidates night the other night. I think it was a pretty good turnout, but I think everybody that was there was friends, family of whoever was running. So pretty much the decisions on who they were going to vote for was already made. Personally, mine was based on who had the best traits. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. And so Lars, you're in trouble. Anyway, you know, I just don't understand why we can't get people in this city to get involved somewhat. We get all the people showed up for my hometown. They were all out there working and helping and doing. And we need to, I don't know what it's going to take to get people in here to these meetings and showing interest. There's a lot of people out there that complain about what's going on or not what's going on or what's happening. If we could just get a small percentage of those people to actually show an interest in what the city is doing and what the city is trying to promote. You know, I don't know how you could get people to show an interest, because you just have to drive around my neighborhood and you can see there are not very many people that care. So they're not going to come here. Some of the discussions we've had in the past with people that were here, you know, not attacked, but I had people right in my face out in the lobby a time or two because I'm such an advocate of neighborhood preservation, which I don't think we have anymore. I don't think we have the neighborhood program anymore. Parking, maybe, I don't know, because I can get everything I own in my driveway. But yeah, we just need to get out to the people and get them involved, even if you have to get out and make them mad. You know, the lady that was mad because she got a neighborhood violation for not watering her lawn. At least she came and voiced her opinion. That's what more than we can get out of most people in this city. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody. I think we maxed out at about 2 or 3 people watching it on Facebook. What was going on. But we need to get people involved. And like I say, even if it's making them mad, to come here and complain because they got a violation or they got something. You know, I'm guilty. I didn't do any of that stuff up there that went out and worked. Jim told me he's there all the time, but I didn't see him on the camera, so I don't know. But we just need to get more people involved with our city and to doing or whatever, because there's a lot of people out there not doing. And, you know, and about 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, we had in the city tape of some of the police officers standing on the corner writing citations for people not wearing their seatbelts. Thought that was great. Now, if we could get the same interest in the police standing on the corner writing red light violations, we could hire several police officers and pay their salaries off of the tickets written. I don't mean to make it the police department a profit center, but we need to do something. I had a Granite School District officer in his big 3/4 ton Dodge pickup. I don't know why they need that. I had plenty of time to stop for the red light. And apparently he didn't think he did because he just went through. So it needs to be something. We even need to get across to the police department. Just because they got that police department badge on their car, they can't run the red lights. Or don't stop me and give me a ticket or something like that, because I ain't gonna take it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Robert Hicks.
I'm Robert Hicks. I have property on 2555 South Redwood Road. And this is on the vacating the alleyway. I was against it in 2006. I'm against it today. I was against it in the meeting that you had on the 4th, July. The thing is, if we could ever find somebody interested to develop that piece of ground, then we can use the alleyway. But I've heard that the city doesn't want the legal responsibility of having that property. So as far as giving us each half, it would be nice to have it surveyed beforehand, which I've asked the engineering department to do. And they said they can't do it unless you require it, as far as the city council. So there's issues with the Board of Adjustments giving the variance on that property next to me. It was an R6 zone. 6 and 10 was the 6 feet on one side, 10 feet on the other. Well, the neighbor on the east side of him hired Sorensen to survey the property. Well, he got a 5-foot variance because he was encroaching on that guy. So then the alley side, he gets a 9-foot variance on that side. But when he took out the permit after I turned him in, nobody required him to get it surveyed. So if I surveyed it out of my pocket to prove what I want to prove, is planning and zoning going to accept that survey? So I think we need to wait in order to get us a person that wants to do something with that property. It's like I've told Steve. I says, can't you smell the money? What is there, 65,000 cars go up and down Redwood Road every day? So that's kind of an issue. We need to get somebody to stop and spend $1. So I'm totally against vacating it. There was 2 pieces that you were going to vacate. The one up farther south, that makes no difference to me. I mean, that could probably be a usable commercial property before mine. Although you, according to one of my neighbors, you sent out a letter, everything south of Stratford, somebody's interested in doing townhomes. So we had an offer for somebody to do townhomes on my property, but there was a few issues. You did change the zone on it again. So in the years I've had it, 45, 50 years, you changed the zone 3 times. So the first zone was R4 10H, which was 4-plex and 10,000 square feet for each horse. So this neighbor that I'm having issues with, he turned me in because I had rabbits. So I thought, well, you know, you're not going to stop me from my renter having rabbits. So I hired me attorney and came to one of your meetings. No rabbits. I couldn't have rabbits. And they ate, they sold them as pets. They ate the rabbits. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. I can have 4 horses, but no rabbits. So every time I turn around, I had a tenant in my property. They tore the yard up. So Sanchez has turned me in. So I had to go put lawn and a sprinkling system in. So you go look at his property. He's got a desert scape, no grass. So it should be played both ways. I've had to call the police, keep the peace, because he flipped me off one day. The police officer says, well, show me some boundaries. Show me what I'm dealing with. Well, we couldn't do that because it's not surveyed. But Officer Gaines, he's gone over there and told him to get his truck out of the alleyway. So now he takes his patio furniture and puts it in the alleyway. So if I want to go over and mow my weeds and to keep within city ordinances, I got to get out and move his patio furniture out of the way. So let's don't vacate the alley now until we find somebody interested in the ground, and then we'll deal with Mr. Sanchez once we get the survey. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Daryl Curtis.
Daryl Curtis, 3860 South Marshall Drive, West Valley City, Utah. Last week, and I know it's on your agenda today about the West Valley City Moderate Income Housing Plan. I reviewed the plan in more detail, and I still have some concerns. One of the things that was mentioned in this plan, it said that the West Valley City is a leader among the cities within Salt Lake County in providing moderate income housing, and that's applauding that. But when I look at the details of that, some of that is not to help single family homes. It's multi-dwelling homes. In fact, it says, talks about a total units of 426 in an apartment building. I've had a lot of people tell me that they're tired of apartment buildings. Apartment buildings are not a permanent residence. They're only a temporary residence. I lived in apartments. I have no problem with apartments, but it's not a permanent situation. It's just a temporary situation until they can get the American dream of building their own house or buying a house. So I'd like to make sure that any studies and anything that is considered, because again, the report said the housing in 2018 or 19 was $250,000. A house you can even touch anything in the city for probably under 300,000 right now, or even more than that. So the study may not even be worth the paper or the email that you send it on. Another issue that I would like to just address is a neighbor brought up about 6000 West. I've heard it before from different neighbors that live on 6000 West. It's becoming a drag strip. There was a drag race back in at 12:30 in the morning. A youth of 23, but found out he was 18, went through a neighbor's fence and hit this guy I was talking to, hit their tree, which destroyed their tree. Unfortunately, the youth was not injured, but it caused a lot of damage, and it was as a result of a drag race. He invited the West Valley City Police to come and sit on his lawn when the high school gets out and they just are really driving really fast. Whatever we can do on that would be appreciated to help alleviate the problems and concerns with the speeding on 6000 West. I know it's just one street, but there's a lot of kids on that street from the results of Whittier Elementary on 35th and 6,000, and then also Hunter Junior, and then Hunter High is right there as well. So there's we're just setting ourselves up to have an accident. And if we can do some avoidance by addressing some of the speeding in that area would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the present audience to speak? Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay. With that, then we'll close the public comment period and now turn to Mr. Pyle. Any comments?
No, sir. Thank you.
Council members, any comments?
Yes, I have one. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor. You can see tonight, Mr. Hicks came here and says about his property. And I just can't understand why we jump from half acre to 1 acre to allow people to build a strip mall. That's a big jump. And we are trying to do something on Redwood Road, the same thing with 5600 West. In the middle of the game, we changed the rule. It does not make sense at all. I mean, I couldn't figure out. If you were him, what would you do? You upset? Yes. Because the landowner has to pay tax, property tax for that. Pay the fine for the city if the trash on his property. Police call if the problem in his property, and he cannot use that property because it's under the 1 acre. Under the rule, and that area C2, that means commercial. And now C2 from half acre jumped to 1 acre and he got stuck. And it does not make sense at all. It does not make sense at all. I just don't understand. And that's why sometimes we said, oh, we need to increase the property tax. Forget it, man. That baloney. It's a lot, the things we do or we did. It's incredible, the reasons. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. And I just want you to consider about that. And I did bring it up a couple of months ago. I mean, probably a few weeks ago already. But now I just want to do it again because he's here and he's upset about it. He called me multiple times. You're upset about it. Wouldn't be. Why? Yes. If I were him, I would do the same thing. I pay property tax, I pay the fine for the city, I pay everything, and I cannot use my property. It does not make sense. It does not make sense at all. I stop right there.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just had a quick comment. I
Yes.
wanted to agree with Mr. Markham that it would be fantastic to have more folks more frequently here at the meetings, but did want to also acknowledge that the volume of emails and phone calls and visits to the office outside of our study meetings and council meetings really do also indicate that there are many people who do care and who are simply not able to join us at the meetings and are voicing their opinions. And I'm grateful that there are other venues for them to bring up those compliments as well as grievances, if we can call them that. But certainly more community involvement would be fantastic, as well as continuing to allow these other venues for folks who are not able to attend the meetings directly.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I could have stopped the gentleman speaking there in the public comment on the alleyways, but he was going strong and I didn't. So, but the council can always correct me if they ever want to. But he was able to get his comments in and then proceeded to leave. So, but we will now go to those two public hearings. The first one is application SV-2 2021 filed by West Valley City, a vacation of a public alley between Warnock Avenue and Stratford Avenue at 1685 West. And I won't go into a lot of detail. That was an old alleyway left over from many years ago when the county first plotted that. And I think there are very few of these left. Most of them have already been vacated or consolidated in with other pieces of property. But that will be the issue before us, and if the council wants to, the action would be covered in ordinance 21-59. So with that introduction, we will see if there's anyone who wants to comment on this, or anyone here to speak to this. And I just say, keep in mind the one gentleman that spoke. Looks like there's no one else. Anyone online?
No, sir.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone to comment on this beyond the one gentleman. And it will be noted that he came to speak on that. Then we'll close the public comment portion and bring it back to the council.
Just a question, and not that I don't trust Mr. Hicks, but this issue about surveying and the actual dimensions of the parcels, et cetera. Is that an issue that still needs to be resolved?
Let's see, who would be able to answer that, Mr. Pyle? Would that be?
I have Mr.
I
Lehman
believe best.
online.
Sorry, what was that, Nicole?
Oh, sorry. I do have Mr. Lehman online if you'd like me to unmute him.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Mayor Steve Lehman with the Planning and Zoning Office.
Ah, okay.
So the alleyway is 16 feet by state law. As has been mentioned, half of the alley would go to Mr. Hicks. The other half would go to the property owners on either side. Since this area is relatively old, there's most likely no survey monuments or markers there. In the particular case of this alley vacation, the city is requesting an easement because we do have a storm drain facility that runs through this alley. So if the Public Works Director or City Engineer felt inclined, we could do a survey to mark the points or the corners so that the property owners there know where exactly their line is.
Mr.
Excuse me, just saying, did that answer your question?
It does answer my question, but
Okay.
yeah, I think if that is still an item that's not resolved or is causing conflict, I'm in favor of just clarifying that.
Is that you done? Jay?
Yes.
Okay. My question to Mr. Lehman. The comment, it's not a question. I think it's it's a good thing for us to spend money to do the survey for this, because between Mr. Hicks and Mr. Sanchez, they have a problem. It's not today, but in the past, just the history. I think the best way is that we do clarify for that one, do some survey and make sure which one is he in, which one the other one is going to take. The second question, the second comment I have is, if each one of them take half for each side, how much they're gonna, how many square feet they're gonna have from each side, you know? It's a Lemon. Steve?
Yes, so the property is approximately 254 feet from street to street. So each property owner would get just over 2,000 square feet of property.
Okay, thank you. And that still have a problem. He needs 6534, that means 6,534 square feet to get to 1 acre. And it's over 2,000, he's still under 1 acre, and then still he's stuck in the middle of the. the game.
Yeah, and if I could just comment quickly, Mayor, so there are a couple of options for Mr. Hicks. He could certainly leave the property zone R16 and plat 4 single-family dwellings. The property is contiguous on the north side of Warnock Avenue, next to C2 zoning. Mr. Hicks could petition the city to change the zone on his property to C2. The C2 zone only requires 20,000 square feet. I think Mr. Hicks's concern is the fact that, at least he's mentioned to me, his desire to have a shopping center. And I think that's where the 1 acre comes into play. Mr. Hicks certainly has the ability to petition the city to zone the property C2, which offers a myriad of commercial office type uses. But I think he's, his desire to do a shopping center is not able to be achieved because he does not have 1 acre. And even if all of the entire alleyway was vacated and deeded to him, he would still not qualify for that 1 acre threshold.
Yeah, I think I brought that point up to the council in study meeting before. We had 1/2 acre for the shopping center before 2017. And up to 2017, sometime July of 2017, we changed the 1/2 acre to 1 acre. So he cannot do the shopping center right now. Yes. But is that fair? No, because before that, 2017, he were able to do that, but now he would not to do that. And we tried to turn this Redwood Road into 5600 West because we want to increase our avenue, property tax, sale tax, and employments in our city. And we are changing the game in the middle, the rule in the middle of the game. We want to do that, and suddenly we change it. Is it weird? Yes. Fair? No. For landowner? And that's one of my point.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
Just to remind us that the issue before us is the vacation of the alley and not the property dispute between the two property owners or the issue of what can be built there or should it be rezoned. We just have this vacation issue of alleyway that the city, we have no use for. We vacate alleys, not all the time, but when they're not useful to us. From what I've heard, I don't see that this action, whether it's passed or denied, helps or hurts Mr. Hicks or any other property owner, other than that if it's passed, their properties will both be a little bit larger. And I would think that is generally a benefit to most people. And don't see why it would not be at least neutral in this case.
I think I understand Mr. Bueller just says, and I think I agree with him about that. But the concern I had, I brought it up a few weeks ago, just about maybe different issue than the public hearing we have tonight. But maybe we can bring it another time to discuss more about that. But of course, we at least have 2,000 more square feet for his property. Yes, I agree.
Okay, anyone else?
I move for approval of ordinance 21-59.
Second. Properly before us. Hearing no further comments. Yes, one more.
So will the survey be done no matter what, or do we need to add that if we want it in the motion? Because we have the right of way on just this one particular vacation.
That's a good point. I personally think we need to spend money to do that.
Nicole's looking for a microphone.
The survey won't be done unless you request that. So in your motion, if you'd like that done, just go ahead and add that and we'll.
Okay, because this is the one we'll have the right of way under, correct? in the alley?
Yes.
Okay. I just think that's important where we have our right of way in there.
Yes.
Okay. Would you add that to your motion?
I accept the amendment that we also request a survey of the
Okay.
property so that we know where the easement is and the property owners can identify their property line.
Then we won't have a shed on top of our easement.
Yeah, I'm
I,
good
as
with that.
seconder, will accept it also.
Okay. That's before us. Everyone understands the motion. No further comments, then to our city recorder for the vote.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to our second public hearing, and that is application SV-3 2021. Same type of thing, vacation of a public alley. This one between Claiborne Avenue and Russet Avenue at 1685 West between 2785 and 2830 South. We'll consider ordinance 21-60 in connection with this. With that, then, the public comment period. We'll open that up. Is there anyone here to speak to this? Didn't hear any. Is anyone online?
No, sir.
Okay, no one to speak to it. Then we'll close public comment period. Back to the council.
I personally think this item right here, we need to have a survey as well, because these people right here maybe can ask why I don't have a survey, and the guy north of me have a survey. So I think I make it fair for both properties. I think we need to do both.
I was in favor of the survey in the previous resolution only because it involved the city right away, et cetera. And so if it's between two private landowners, I'm not in support of that.
The thing is, we don't know. Maybe today they say yes, but tomorrow say, well, no, I have 1 more square feet above, beyond of your property. What are we gonna do? We are a refuge, or we can simply it's over to do that. I think that's a good question.
Certainly, I don't think boundary disputes between neighbors are uncommon. Here where they're both gaining property, I guess they could argue about where the line is, but I would worry more that we start doing surveys for private property owners. We're going to be doing thousands of surveys for private property owners to help them resolve their disputes. And I'm not in favor of it either, but with that comment, I will move for approval of ordinance 21-60.
Second.
Properly before us. Motion is there. Any further comments? Hearing none, to our city recorder for the vote.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Hune,
Aye.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu,
Aye.
and Mayor Bigelow.
Aye,
Motion passes unanimously.
Can I make a comment on that one, Mayor?
certainly.
Yeah, I mean, put me in a hard spot right here, because if I say no, I would say no for this one, but if I say no, that means I against the benefits of the landowner. And that reason why I have to say yes. But I think the best way, we need to have a survey, because only for 2 properties in this area that we have for the leeway, I mean, for the alley, our city control, and all the before is solid county control that. Other than that, we don't have anywhere else in our city. But I have to vote yes, because I support them to have the more 2,000 square feet for each one of them. But if I say no, and that's mine, I'm against it, they prefer, I think that's the best side for me. But I think it's, to be honest with you, that's unfair.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Not hearing anyone else. Then we'll go to Resolution 21-179. This is to adopt our annual report, this one being 2021 on moderate income housing plan. The income housing plan is required by state law and has specific guidelines on the timing and the source of data. We try to be consistent in that. And so we have that report updated as much as we can each year. This will show the information as required that we have done each year. With that introduction then to the council.
Move to approve Resolution 21-179.
Second.
Properly before us, any further comments? I wish we had, and the staff wishes we had up-to-date information, but since much of it is based upon federal information and reports outside of our control, we use the most recent available. With that then, to our city recorder for the vote.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang.
Yes.
Councilman Bueller.
Aye.
Councilman Hune.
Aye.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
And Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda. We have 3 resolutions, each of them a little different, but they're fairly routine. The Resolution 21-180 to accept a public sidewalk easement for property at 2377 South, 5370 West. Resolution 21-181 is a storm drain easement at 2054 South, 3400 West. And then finally, one of those that we have done multiple times on 4700 South, real estate purchase agreement, warranty deed, easement, temporary construction easement for property at 4691 South Woodgrove Drive. Those are the 3 items there on our consent agenda to the council.
Move for approval of the 3 items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Properly before us, seeing no further comments, and to our city recorder.
Councilman Nordfelt.
Yes.
Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
Councilman Hune.
Aye.
Councilman Bueller.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang.
Yes.
Councilman Fitzie Umanu.
Aye.
And Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We do not need a closed session, so that concludes our agenda for tonight for our regular city council meeting. Unless there are any final comments from the council. Seeing none, a final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn without objection, then we will be adjourned. Hearing no objections, that passes unanimously, and we are done. Thank you.